I would not click in any links of that email straight away as well, just because you want to keep yourself safe from scammers who are maybe a little bit more advanced.
Now it's just like,
cheeky.
how dare you? Like, this is not fair for any of us.
No.
Yeah, like, a platform, the creator.
Everything is so watched on Clip, which is amazing, because then I feel like as creators, you feel protected.
All right, girls. So today I am really interested in getting your perspective around how do you deal with brands reaching out to you for collaborations? How do you find collaborations? You go after collaborations? How many emails do you send per day or stuff like that? It's very, very interesting for me because I have never done this, obviously. I only know the brand's perspective, which we can definitely talk about as well. But I'm just really, really interested to see the whole process behind the scenes as a creator. Where do you start? Like, let's say I've been doing this for 2 weeks, and then out of a sudden I have a request in my Instagram chat. What do you do?
So I've been actually very lucky that I've never actually yet done any outbounds, which I know is pretty unheard of in like the UGC community. Like that usually people are like, right, send in 5 outbounds there, whatever. However, I am planning after the wedding to proper put my head down and start going at it and actually start doing outbounds and specifically targeting brands, especially like in the niche that I like creating content in as well. But in terms of getting inbounds, a lot of the time I would either get emails or I would get Instagram DMs, and I would get a few TikToks. I have heard from other creators, a lot of them would get their inbounds from TikTok primarily. However, as we all know, I'm an Instagram girly and I'm trying to get onto TikTok, and I feel like it would be great for it. But for now, my Instagram and email, basically they'll send through something. I typically, even if the Instagram DM me, will try always push it onto email, just because I personally prefer everything business-wise being kept on, especially when it comes to contracts and like the nitty-gritty. I just personally find it's more professional. And to be really honest too, it keeps a better paper trail. I feel like in another episode there, the accountant, Leanne, she made a very good point of like, we don't own our Instagram's account, so if something went down, you lose all those chats. Whereas if it's on email, you've took it outside the platform and it's with your business as well. So that's the first thing. I'd always try to get it onto email if it's not already on it. And then I'll go through trying to work out what their actual deliverables are or what they're actually wanting. Sometimes now brands will come to me with a really detailed brief and just be like, hi Ali, love the content you do, we'd love to work with you. And then they'll attach like their actual brief. They'll ask for either what my pay card is for me to send that across to them. So I will first of all check, number one, is it in line? Do I want to even work with them? Because sometimes I won't lie, there's brands, we all know them too, you get those jewelry brands that like, I don't know where they're made from, it's like China, and it's like not good brands that you're like, no, yes, I'm a UGC creator, but I still have morals and I want to work with like decent brands too. So I won't typically with that, like jewelry I'd be very fussy with. And also too, to be really honest, a lot of the time their pay is just awful, that it's like stupid like commissions, and it's like, oh, we will send you 4 items if you post about us. I'm like, no, that's not what I do. So I will always want to get the brief. I will then go through that brief and then I will talk back and forth with them, and for example to negotiate on rates if for example it's not within their budget, or for me to see, well, how can I maximize things as well. And then we will go through contract stage and then into actually deliverables and the time frame, so when exactly I will be expected to send that content across. Or for me, sometimes if I'm flat out, it's like me booking them in, like, okay, these are the dates that I will film your content, this is when you can expect it, just to have like a really clean process. I always like to do it. But what about you, Nicola?
So my process is very similar to yours in terms of when there is an inbound. So I do agree, most of my inbounds are coming in through email now. So it's very important in all of your social media platforms or anything like that to have your email address there. Yeah. It just makes it easier for the brand to connect with you. When inbound comes, obviously, first thing you do is look at the email that it comes from, right? So just to make sure that this is not a scam.
On this one, sorry, Nicola, I got Fenty the other day, was so buzzing. I was like, oh, Fenty, unreal. Obviously spam. It was a Gmail address.
If it ends up, just first thing you do, instinctively check that email address, I would say. So technically, it should end with, you know, the brand, or you would have the brand at the beginning and then partnership.com, something like that. So it just looks more legit. You see that they're actually paying for the domain. It's not just a Gmail account. So that would be my first thing that I would check. Then I would not click in any links of that email straight away as well, just because you want to keep yourself safe from scammers who are maybe a little bit more advanced. Like there's things that you need to look out for, definitely. And then I would just actually Google the brand outside, see if there's actually doing collaborations, etc. Sometimes you would even find the email address that they would come through as well. So it's just those extra little safety steps that I like to take. And then once I'm like happy, I go in, then see the link that they send, if it actually gets me to that page as well. And obviously then, as you said, Ali, it's like the time to actually get to know the brand and see what they're actually after. Most of the time, the brand would just be like, we just would love to work together. You know, this is what we need, blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of get an idea of what is needed from you. And then again, there's the moment where you actually make a decision. Is it something that I want to do or not? Then obviously the rates and the contract after that. Ali, you also mentioned the deadline. It's so important to make sure that the brand and you are both happy. Personally, I would not accept a job that gives me 2 days after receiving the product.
No.
Just be mindful of your own plans, of things that could happen. If they are open with emergencies, you know, things like that, if there's not going to be any kind of sourness after, essentially. And you can make sure that this is not happening by those initial conversations as well. And 100% agree, get those inbounds into your email box, 100%. It's also easier to find information. So it just simplifies your whole process.
It keeps it so much neater. I get that your initial inbounds realistically will be social, but always push it off, because like we've all, well, maybe we won't have it all, but I've had, for example, my Instagram hacked and I've lost it before. That like that's the contact list is such gone. So you got to think outside, okay, how can I secure and really look after my contact list? Because if those brands are coming back for repeat business and they're like, oh, what was her name again, or what was she called, and your Instagram account's gone, whereas it's an email address and they'll have that paper trail and they'll see everything going through it, that it's just so much neater as well. Nicola, question for you too. So on, for example, too, contracts, do you send your own or do you just rely on the brand's contracts?
So if they don't share the contract straight away after the agreement is kind of there, you know, that kind of mutual, like, okay, let's work together. If they don't share it, then I will share my contract. I think we also somewhat covered it in one of the episodes before, but in your contract, you obviously should have the deadlines, the actual deliverables, content rights. Then there were a couple of other things, like obviously
re-edits and stuff too. And then
yes, very important. Yeah.
Payment terms, like when they will pay you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, for example, this is a good one actually, now I'm just thinking out loud. So when I initially started my UGC journey, a lot of the time I would have had payment before delivery. And then when I was chatting to someone about this, they were like, oh, we've noticed a trend that if someone was in marketing prior to UGC, they will typically ask for payment upfront, as in like you're buying the goods, you've bought the goods, now we deliver the goods. Whereas people that were new to UGC without a marketing background, they would have been making the content, getting paid after. But I've noticed now, especially with me, like a lot of brands, and I personally don't really mind anymore either, like it will be payment terms, so I'll deliver and then I'll get. What way have you found that, or what way is it for you too?
Most of the times, I'm going to be completely honest, it's after delivery. But it's, again, it depends if it's a new client. Sometimes an advance payment is very good, you know, to do as well. So half of the fee before, etc.
I say half, especially if it's a bigger fee or if it's a bigger campaign and stuff too, just secure. I'd be quite, if I have a contract in place, I to be honest don't care, because I'm a contract, I'm safe, fine. However, if there wasn't, or else I used to, I don't typically use much anymore just because I use contracts now. I used to watermark my content if I hadn't got payment, but then I felt a bit mean doing that. But then I'm still split in my mindset, because I'm like, they're getting to use that content for realistically a month most of the time before I get paid. And
That
like,
is
you're
true.
getting to make money while I'm waiting for the actual. But then I do understand that it's normal in businesses that it is 30 or 60 days, 30 days lead time.
30 days, I think, is the most
So-
common.
Yeah.
That is normal, but yeah.
It's an interesting one for sure, because I feel like payment times is always a bit trickier than even sometimes talking about the payment itself, because obviously you don't want to lose an inbound because of, you know, you being strict. These people just met you too. They might feel like, are we getting scammed here? You need to think about how professionally you look outside, and then really make like a critical look at yourself and be like, am I valuable? Obviously valuable. Am I like trustworthy enough to ask for a full payment before the product is delivered? Because from a brand's perspective, some of them will not have that trust, especially if they're just starting with UGC, so they might just go with someone else. And obviously you don't want to do that, because it also harms your business at the end of the day. So it's a very tricky line. So I feel like advance payment is a very nice middle ground.
Yeah, I think it's being flexible with people, and I completely agree with you. It's true that you don't want someone to be, because personally for me, if I was a brand and I was going to a creator and they were so focused on getting that money. I'd be like, you don't care, you're just in it for the money. Whereas I would be put off. So like that's why initially that was just the job I worked at. That was kind of how things were done. And then moving on, I was like, you know what, I personally wouldn't like it, but then that's why I'm perfectly happy with payment terms.
Yeah.
However, not happy chasing invoices. Like sometimes I've like been 2 weeks over that I'm like, hi guys. And then they'll be like,
it's very
payment.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you feel icky doing it. But then to be honest, once again too, for anyone out there, this is be 2 cents to you. Never feel bad about actually chasing one, because sometimes businesses are busy and sometimes it's genuinely shit on the other side. And if I've ever had to chase anything, they'd be like, oh, so sorry, here, this is sent. And like they literally do it. It's like, I don't mind. But I remember one business and it was literally going on over 2, maybe 3 weeks. And I was just like, right, this is taking the biscuit a bit now, because I'd sent like 2 already. And then I was like, oh, it feels icky. And to be honest, then it kind of put me off wanting to work again, because I was like, I don't know if I can fully trust. Just because this was like 30, how many days? It was like nearly 50 days or something since I delivered the content. So it was 30 days had lapsed, give them 30 days, and then it was plus the 3 weeks, whatever that is. I'm not a masker.
Yeah, I've got quite a situation like that at the moment with an American agency. And it's just like there's not much you can do, because when you follow up, they might take days to actually respond to you. So that's what is happening. I feel like the project, I recorded the videos, you would not believe this. End of June.
God, Nicola.
End of June, I recorded the videos. Then I like a holiday for 2 weeks or something. Then they came, they were very understanding of that. Now I know why they were very understanding of that. I came back and they were like, okay, can we just do another video? So I was like, at that point I was like, fair, sure, whatever.
Before made another for previous videos?
Yes. Okay. So because I was away, so they knew. So in my head I was like, it's fine. I sent the videos through, and then the approval was taking ages. With agencies, again, it's tricky because sometimes there's so many people in between. So it might take a little bit while, but this was taking a piss, because this was like up to, I feel like it was 2 weeks for them to approve the content, which is just naughty. So then I messaged them being like, hi guys, actually, what is happening? Like, did you hear back from the client? I haven't heard from them for another week about this. And I was like, this is now taking a piss.
Do you have a contract?
So yes. So then I was like, okay, this is just going nowhere. So I sent them another email, and I was like ready to actually take action. This was a bigger project. There was like 4 videos included at the end of everything. So it was quite a big one in general. It's a lot of money actually, and a lot of effort and time that went into it. So then they messaged me back saying, hi, sorry, our colleague was on holiday. We're sending the content to the client now.
How did you send the content to them?
I don't even remember.
I'm just generally thinking about like a wee transfer link, because it's what I say there. That's sometimes like a bit of my not feel safe, but I love it for the fact, if you use WeTransfer, for anyone out there who's probably used it already, if you transfer your things on it, the first person that downloads it, you will get an email straight away to say it has been downloaded. That nearly is like a red receipt. So then I can see, and because it's happened to me in the past too, I've sent things and it's been maybe like 4 days, and I'm like, okay, the transfer link only lasts 7 days, number one.
Yeah.
They tried to reduce it there too, actually. But number 2, I can see there's my red receipt. You've downloaded that, so you've looked at that 4 days ago. That then it's kind of a like, hi, I seen you're able to download the content. Just wanted to have an update.
Yeah.
And but how were you able to send it? Or just for me?
I don't remember. It was ages ago. I'm pretty sure it was Google Drive though. So yeah, but you can still see the history of the folder.
You can see.
So they hit me with, we're just going to send this to the client now. And I'm like, excuse me? You've got this content, you're sitting on this content for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the client hasn't even seen it yet.
I was going to say there also too, this is me just being OTT. What bad process is an agency set up that you can into your actual worker's email? Like, why isn't there like a shit or inbox?
Forward,
or like
anything.
The people can come in, because then I'm like, if that person's off, or your client's not pissed that they've been making
Yeah,
content for 3 weeks
just
with one person.
Does the client think that I was taking additional 3 weeks to actually create the content? Because that is the most frustrating thing. Because that is probably like the agency will try to cover their bums on me, right? So yeah, so now the invoice is now shared. The feedback has been approved by the client, and now it's the most annoying thing is that in the contract, it's the 30 days of the payment since, approving the videos. I think like this is probably going to take like another 2-3 weeks now to receive that money. So this is the thing when it's very important in your contract to actually make sure not just the content deliverables, but also the deadline for any feedback or, you know, the approval, when does that automatic approval actually happens? Because I feel like this was definitely my mistake on this one, because the brand shared the contract and it wasn't said in there. And I feel like because I've worked with many like sister agencies like that in US, I kind of just trusted it for some reason.
Yeah.
And not every agency is going to be on it as much as the ones that you might have worked with before.
Yeah.
So that was just a little lesson learned, definitely. And look, I've been doing it for a good while, and it's things like that still can surprise you. So it's the same at the beginning, nothing changes, because you're never going to know who you're going to work with at the end of the day.
Yeah. But in a good way, I think that's stuff like that's kind of good, because then it'll make you think for future, be like, okay, what can I do for future to not let them do that? For example, if there's a loophole in the contract, that after approval be like, okay, once invoice is sent, then did you wait to send your invoice once they approved, I suppose, as well?
Now I know, because I've dealt with a fair amount of, especially American agencies. When they are big agencies working with bigger clients, the timeline just extends automatically.
Yeah.
It does, because just how many eyes are landing on the content as well, first of all, and then just the amount of clients that they work with as well.
Yeah. No.
So just keep that in mind, that if you are working with bigger clients, the process is going to take longer.
I agree. I'm working with a brand at the minute, or an agency through another pretty big brand, and it's been now, I've got the product sitting literally on my shelf. It's been 2 months since it, and it's sitting there. But they're really good for this agency I work with. They're lovely, and they'll always, like, every week they'll give me an update, like, look, so the approval process is so like strong going through this company. I'm like, that's grand. But then also too, for me, typically this agency's like, once you get the product, it's like your usual 4 or 5 days after receiving, create content. But then my availability was fine 2 months ago, but it gets closer and closer. So I feel like I'm due an email back, hi guys, by the way, getting married, I may not be available to do this.
Yeah, and that's the tricky bit. And I feel like a lot of the times there are situations where the client sends the product, and then, as you said, it kind of just sits there, and you're there like, okay, that's fine, let's relax. But then you, at the back of your head, you're then like, I just don't know if I'm going to have the capacity to actually work with you. And obviously it makes you feel tricky, because you already have that product, you already have that relationship established. So it's definitely a tricky one. Yeah,
my ideal is always to book it, especially if I'm busy, because this is another advice for other people. I get really overwhelmed if I see that there's a load of products sitting around. You're like, you've all this work to do in your life. But I will always try and book out like a day, or like however long it's going to take me to do. So for example, if it's only 1 or 2 videos, that's a day. Or if it's like maybe 5, 10 videos, like book out a few days, so then I could sit and like plan out if inbounds are coming in. I'm like, right, I could book this in that week. But my advice, try always have things far enough in advance. Sometimes brands do come to you and they're like, last minute, we need this ASAP. And sometimes it's tricky. On that, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. I'm thinking to add a late rush fee, because I always am quite good at doing content quick. But then sometimes I'm like, you know what? I do it too quick sometimes. I feel like I should be prioritizing brands if they want content quicker. Some brands do want it quick. Other brands don't really care. They're like, okay, up to 10 days or something. I'm like, great, that's perfect for me. But what do you think?
It's interesting. Yeah, definitely. Because I guess you could do like express delivery on stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the mail, right? You pay tomorrow
to get it quick.
I mean, why not? I think it's fair enough, right? We did have situations even last year when we had Black Friday, Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever. And I could just see like brands asking the creators, oh, can you do it until tomorrow?
Yeah.
But why? Why are you creating this campaign like 2 days before the actual launch? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I try to understand that sometimes they just get overwhelmed with other stuff that they need to prepare for the same launch, and then they forget about these things, and then they realize actually some UGC might work for this campaign, let's try it. Still, like, if you do that, just give the creators at least 3-4 days.
Most of the time I feel like it honestly is procrastination on brand side, or especially agencies. You know, like, we've got loads of time, it's fine, and then it's like a week before that event, and then you're like,
rush
panic.
mode.
Exactly. It's just people do it to themselves
now.
This is why it's very good. And if you're starting fresh and you're not worried about brands not paying you, because sometimes it is that feeling of like, this doesn't feel safe, especially if it's new to you. That's why Clip is fantastic, because as we were saying there, like, you have to wait 30, like sometimes up to flipping 60 days, like you, Nicola, there you're still waiting for payments. In the Clip, literally, if you apply to, if that brand picks you, you will then get paid literally within a number of days after you actually upload that content and it's approved. Like, the process is so safe and so seamless as well. The fact that you can see each time, for example, if you have got accepted, it's then like waiting indefinitely. If it's then delivery has occurred, pending content, then it's pending approval. For example, if you have an edit, you get that edit done. But as soon as you have that, it's like so clean knit and like secure that you will get that payment. Like I have to say with the clip as well, the payment schedule is on point. Like it's always like you're never
I
having
think
to
it's
wait
less
long.
than like it's less than 24 hours now.
Yeah.
Is it actually?
Maria's sitting there smiling like, I know.
She's like, yeah, good.
No, because I do understand it was one of the pain points for me. You understand that people need money, right? Like, let's face it, you're not sitting on a treasure or whatever and just like,
Yeah.
that's fine, I can wait 30 days. No, it's not fair, And at the beginning, I was doing it manually. So I was just like going PayPal, just putting everything in
You
there, right?
literally manually typing in email addresses for payment.
Yeah,
Maria, you're
yeah.
joking. I didn't realize. There you go. From the founder, that's how things can be done at the start. That's mad. Because
It
what
is,
there's
it
like
is.
1,000 creators now on clips. So like,
Yeah, but now it's
wow.
pretty much automated.
Thank
It's
God.
pretty much automated now. Yeah, no. But I was actually scheduling in my calendar like 2 hours, twice or three times a week. So that I make sure that people get money in like 24, 48 hours. That's another unique selling point from
It
a
definitely
creator's
is.
perspective,
Definitely.
right? But again, we do care about our creators. We want to take care of the brands, of course, because they're the paying ones. But at the same time, we do cherish and value the time and the effort that the creators are putting into it. Now everything is automated and just like goes in, clicks on the button and be like, pay, 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 and that's it.
Unreal. No, I do
Yeah.
have to say, and like this is also like from the moment I've met Maria, like she's always been so passionate about like creators first and the amount of work that you genuinely have, and you always do that I think it's so great to have a founder of a company as well that like through and through that's what you've always said and believed. That then, because honestly it is like, you're right, like sometimes people are doing it and they're like, look, I just want a side hustle, and they don't, like they're not in a business that has like the 30-60 days payment terms, that they're just like, I want paid. That I think it's amazing. And like honestly other platforms don't do that, or even agencies, like typically it is your 30 days lead time. So it's a clip.
No, definitely. And also, I feel like, Maria, you proved that platform that actually cares about creators does not mean that they don't care about brands. Like, it doesn't mean that it has to be, all cards on the creators and no one cares about the brands. No, you actually find that middle ground that everyone feels safe and secure, but also taken care of. As a platform, take time to nurture those relationships, but also to like grow them. And me and Ali giving feedback to the creators, but also, you speaking to the brands about like the feedback, even from this podcast, I feel like it is sometimes for us, it's a massive like brainstorming session, essentially.
Yeah.
And then I know that you always like put it through to brands too, is that like, look, this is what creators are saying, but this is not just to make creators' life easier, but also you as a brand. So I feel like it's a great example of just showing that you can take care of both. You can be on both sides, be the Switzerland and unhappy at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's something that I've always had in myself, like even in real life. I had friends that were just coming to me and be like, this happened to me, he's an asshole, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, let's just wait for him to come and say his part as well. And then we try to understand, think about the fact that you would never find the truth. You would never like really know the truth at the end of the day. So you're trying to position yourself literally in the middle and trying to be considerate about the two parts. Obviously, when there's like a limit, there's a limit. I had this situation literally like yesterday, 2 days ago. It was just so stupid from the brand. They like listen to me. Like it's just like so stupid. I was reading the messages and the brand was like, so the creator delivered the video, whatever, everything was fine. They mentioned this in the edit request, like feedback, and they're just like, oh, we love the video, it's amazing, blah blah blah. One last thing I need from you is, can you record a testimonial video, just a short testimonial video, And I was
That's
like,
an add-on extra video.
That would,
Don't be sneaky.
That would really help me out, they said, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And I was just like,
Chicken.
how dare you? Like, this is not fair for any of us.
No.
Yeah, like a platform, the creator, like it's
Has
just
the
like
creator replied back, or were they?
Yeah.
They
Okay.
have replied.
Because no, they didn't reply because I stopped it. I was just like
good.
sending an info message. Hi, you can only request edits regarding the video provided. Yeah, like it appears that you want a new video, like which is not stated in the script or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe I'm trying to be very considerate about both parts. And I went on the brief and tried to find, okay, was it a testimonial? Did the creator actually didn't follow the brief? Like going through all these like steps, and then no, it was up to the creator. Oh, I was just fuming. And I stopped this, right? I just messaged them, and you can't do this, blah blah. I don't know, 5 hours later, 6 hours later, something like that, another message comes in from the same brand, right? And they're just like, something along those lines again, but like trying to make it as just add a
Concealed.
tiny
Said
bit
it.
at the end of the video or something like that, I was just like,
The
maybe I should.
cheek.
They're so
I feel like
cheeky.
that's also a very good thing. Everything is so watched on Clip, which is amazing, because then I feel like as creators, you feel protected. For example, any messages that go through from brand two, like they go through a vetting system that if they're actually trying to do something, 9 times out of 10 they get caught before they even get netted back, or not even 9 times out of 10. Every time basically they get caught before they go through the creator. But there's all these things in place that I think sometimes, to be honest, Maria, did I know there was like all this background as well, that like there could have been piles of messages come through to me that like have been saved as such that like never got to me, because it was like, okay, brands trying to take advantage of doing things. But I think that is amazing, because also too, sometimes with other platforms or other brands, like especially if they have that to creator communication, people will try, and especially if you're new and you're only starting out, like I won't lie,
Yeah.
at me at the very start I'm like, okay, if you want me to, I don't want to piss you off, whereas you're like, no, they're taking advantage, it's not fair to do that.
Yeah, and quite
No.
often also, obviously this was just a cheeky example, but sometimes brands will just have no idea what they're asking for, what they're
Yeah.
saying. So like,
But-
have a little grace for that too, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day they should know. They should
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
better. For brands, another plus of Clip is the hassle of actually scouting content creators
Yeah, that's a massive
on
one.
social media. It's like, obviously, we keep saying the word inbound, right? And someone is there
Manually going
scrolling through Instagram, finding people that are suitable, which I used to be a marketing manager. I used to be that person to do
I used
that.
to be that person too. It's tiring.
Ridiculous.
And also
Do you
too,
know
you
what? Then I switched all my clients to Social Cat at the end, from the marketing agency. Yeah, because I was like, it's ridiculous. Like, just let me just get it off my head.
If you're able to go through something that people have already been vetted, that they're good enough to be on the platform, you've access to 1,000 creators. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but
done.
also, do you know the best thing? Even not that you have the pool of creators. Not even that. The creators actually apply to the brands that appeal to them. So the brand knows that there is already an interest. So it's not just going to be cold email and you will never hear from them. So I feel like that's the biggest advantage of using Clip, is that not only you have the massive selection of creators from many countries and like whatever you market the product, but also you know that they're actually actively interested in working together. So I feel like that's just someone who used to scout people and not hearing from hundreds of them on a weekly basis. That is just massive.
Time-saving people.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the main reasons why I created Clip. Let's try to cover quickly. I know, Ali, you said that you were lucky enough not to reach out to brands as of yet.
But I plan to.
But if you were to do it, what would you do? Would you go for the niche that you're most interested in? Or would you email the brands? Would you reach out to them over Instagram? If you were emailing them, would you email, I don't know, info at whatever, or would you go for like more in depth? How would you do it?
So basically what I do at the minute, you probably laugh, but what I typically will be doing, I'm like setting the foundations as such. If I ever go on and see like on my stories or on Instagram a UGC ad for a brand, I will literally send that to myself. So like, on it, you can like send direct message. I will send that to my account. So like my business account. So then I go through it. I've literally got a chat with myself that it's got all these different ones, but the only ones I will ever send to myself is the ones I'd actually be interested in doing. So for example, for me, I like fashion, jewelry, beauty, and skincare. I also, depending on what it is, a bit of fitness, and also home goods as well. That's my kind of niches I'll always gravitate towards. And also, yes, I have done in the past services only or app businesses. I don't mind talking. As you know, I talk a lot. So what I will literally do is like send them to myself, that then that's my little kind of, I already know, number one, that they use UGC. So like straight away too, it's kind of like safeguarding the fact that people are like, oh, we don't really do this. And like, right, what was the point messaging? So number one, I can tend to see. But what I would do then is, yes, go on to it and see either like if they have an email address, Or sometimes, like, I think the best thing probably to do would be actually message them on Instagram. I don't know. Now, this is
DM
what
them.
I'm thinking. DM and ask for the specific one. Sometimes I've found in the past, even with clients, if it's the first time I'm emailing and I've got an attachment in it, or if you're sending a link or something, it will go
it
straight to
might
junk.
go to spam.
Yeah, so mine will go to spam. Nicola, because do you do outbounds at the minute, like pitches and stuff? When you're sent to them, do you attach onto your rate card or your website or your portfolio? Because technically, anytime I've ever sent just to clients, was again for the first time, it goes straight to junk. What way do you do that, or would you just do initial, just text, email?
So I feel like us two are probably the worst people to ask this question, because
do you not do outbounds either?
Since I went full time, and I don't want this to sound big-headed at all, but I haven't had time.
I'm the same. That's why I'm like planning to, but generally just,
I've got a list though, exactly what you said, Ali. I have a folder on my screenshots on my phone where I just put all the screenshots that I ever make when I see an UGC ad, and I have a list like a Google sheet where I put all the details, so I know what brand it is. I put their email or link to their Instagram just to DM them at the same time. I also have a little column with ideas for content for them, because I believe that a good outbound outreach email is not just you being like, here's my rates, like, here's my portfolio, have a look. If you personalize your email in terms of like why you would like to work with this brand, or like where you've seen them, your reason might be that you've seen that they're working with UGC creators like you, so you might be able to offer another set of eyes on the content. And then at the bottom being like, look, I've already done my research, like I love what you're doing already. Here's a couple of ideas of the content that I could create for you. Because that gives them like literally like boom.
Make it as easy as possible. If you give them less of back and forth between saying yes initiative, because there is lazy people out there that literally will just be like, oh, I want to work with you, and I'm like, yeah, but what can you offer me that 500 other people couldn't? You have to have that extra bit. And I feel initiative is very underrated in this day and age. I've just remembered, you will laugh at this. Basically, for my own social media page, obviously I try to make my own content. I'm trying to like bulk the content at the minute. So there is a website that I use. It's called Your Business Number, but basically it gives you a business number for your phone. So you can have two numbers on one phone. So you can have your personal WhatsApp and your business WhatsApp. Get it? If you still ready for like business calls, because it's life-changing separating the two. But I was making content for my own page talking about this and about how small businesses, or if you work for a company and you don't get a work phone, like this is a great workaround. I made the content and I was like, you know what? This is a really damn good ad for them, because it's so authentic, because it was genuinely me saying it. So I put a watermark over it to send it to them, and I was like, hi guys, I've been using this for over a year, really, really like it or whatever, and I'd love to work together. Actually, I've already went and had ahead. I made a video because I genuinely love it that much. I'd love to hear from you. So I sent that there like a day or so. I'll follow up with them today or tomorrow and see what they say. But that was me just like, you know what? Like, why not? So that's another thing I think too. If you're even newly starting out UGC and you've created videos for products that you genuinely love, double up. Use that on your social media if you have a UGC profile, but also to try to reach out to the brand and show, actually, I've made the initiative. I'm showing you what I can do. Here it is.
Yeah, utilize your content.
Yeah.
As many times, as many ways as possible. But also make sure that in the contract, you actually still own the rights to use your own content too. Because quite often the brands would be like, actually, this is the only way we're going to be using this content, and this is the only way that this content will ever be used. And you need to be prepared for that as well. Some brands, some companies, agencies especially, only work on this basis. So it's almost like, do you want to work with them? Do you want to share your content knowing that this is only going to be used this way? Just something to keep in mind. Even if you put your work to your portfolio only, still other brands are going to see that content. Because quite often brands don't always go into your portfolio to actually check out your work, but to actually find other videos in the same niche to get inspired for their own ads too. So this is where brands are quite often, actually, we want to make it a little bit harder for our competitors to find those videos. So I feel like a lot of the times that's going to be the case too. So just to keep in mind whenever you're sharing content, just to make sure that both sides are happy, so you just don't get any kind of animosity between you. Also, just ask questions like, why are you not happy for me to have this in my portfolio? Like, this is my personal work. Just ask the question, because most of the time they would be like, actually, yeah, use it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would have like a very specific reason, and you're either happy or not to work with them. You know, it's just Take it or leave it sometimes.
Yeah, it's your choice to agree or disagree with something. So yeah, it really depends on how much you want to work with that brand, like how desperate you are.
That's
I
it.
guess.
Yeah, that's it. We're just girls at the end of the day. So like sometimes
So-
that's the case. Like for example, I have this PR company and they do Korean skincare. And I swear to God, I would do anything they ask me because I get Korean skincare like every month. I'm sorted and I'm obsessed with Korean skincare. Like this is an understatement. And I'm like, you just tell me what you want, baby. You've got it.
You're like, I'll do it.
But it's also because they're very reasonable, of course. So I'm like joking about it. But literally, with these girls, I have such a relationship that I would be so open to so much more than any other brand that would ask me to because I just love them.
Yeah.
Definitely. To add to all of these, because obviously we mentioned like how we would find our outreach companies to work with, but there are many other ways as well, especially at the very beginning. And if you do have some sort of following already, PR companies are great to email too. And they're the easiest to connect with because they want you to connect with them. So they will just flag it everywhere on their websites, etc. Or LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great space for it as well to find people who actually are involved in a specific, and you can see their actual title in the company too. But this is again very specific research for who you want to reach as well. Maybe go through hashtags as well, like hashtag PR product, hashtag PR unboxing, things like that that people share. Or, go to UGC, hashtag UGC, and then you see what people do as well. But with that, it's a little trickier because quite a lot of times you would have UGC examples, even though they might have not actually been UGC for the brand. So sometimes can be quite tricky, but it's not really going to harm. I think a healthy way, if I'm going to start outreach today, I would be happy if I sent 10 emails this day because you don't want to just bulk email 250 companies at the same time. First of all, what if they all respond to you? Second of all, that obviously is the most brightest scenario ever, but also it's like you're not going to be able to personalize the content as much as you would want to. Maybe utilize ChatGPT as well, like try to convey that message obviously in a natural way, but try to utilize the tool as well to just make it more relevant or more business-y if that's not your forte as well or your experience. At the end of the day, when you find an agency or a brand that you want to work with, quite often there will be that one person that is going to be connecting with you on all the aspects. So you want to find that person at the end of the day. And I feel like the sooner you get it, the better for you and for the potential collaboration or ongoing relationship to be. Also remember that the companies that you actually build a relationship with are the companies who might talk about you to other companies, or when you would be surprised on how many marketing like social networking events I was sharing people that I was working with, just because they're like your little besties. Like you can trust them, you know that the work is going to be done, and why would they scout the internet again?
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you want to scout the internet again to find that person, like another person, when you already have that established relationship with someone? So I feel like it's very important. And you can do that on Clip too. Remember that building those relationships on Clip is so important too, because brands can now invite you to take part in the campaigns. Like they might create specific campaign for you. So just think about it, how you would treat your inbounds or when you're outreaching to clients as well. Just keep it in mind and just build upon those relationships on Clip too.
Yeah, I think that sums up the whole thing really nicely there. So I do.
I guess the moral of the story on both options, either inbound, outbound, is do your research.
Yeah.
Either way, be reasonable about deliverables and on all of that. Contracts are very important, of course. Keeping the relationship, and just be mindful when you reach out to brands, to how many brands you reach out, specific timeline, because as Nicola said, it might get overwhelming, and this happened to some of the creators on Clip. They had so many collaborations, and I had to reach out to them over Instagram because they were not replying to me over email. And I was like, hey, I'm the founder. I just want to help you. So let me know how can we ensure that we're safe and the brands are not going to be mad. From someone that has been working with influencers for the last 7 years, if you have a strong portfolio, you will get accepted. So just make sure that you don't apply to so many in a short period of time. Try to use your Notion, try to use calendar, whatever you want, just to make sure that you're not overdoing it. Because again, you're going to give a very bad impression to the brand. Like after all your work of putting into the effort of like, I have some ideas for you, I've researched about your brand, blah blah. Then out of a sudden you'll be like, shit, I can't do it. Because
I feel like especially new, fresh UGC creators, you have so much energy and you're busted and ready to go that nearly you can just shoot yourself in the foot that you'll apply to loads or do loads of outbounds or overpromise. And then when it comes to actually doing the work, you physically don't have the time, you can't fit it in, and your actual productivity, the things that you deliver will completely dip, and that long term will destroy it, and also to wreck those potentially really good long term relationships that you could have had with brands. So I like literally would mirror what Maria's saying there is like, don't go mad applying to everything, especially if you're new. Apply to only a couple at a time and see from there. Even on the Clip too, because to be honest as well, Clip has so many fresh new campaigns every day even, and you could be going through just hitting apply. If they all accept you, you've still got those days to try to fulfill that, and you don't want to. And then plus two, it's something that's so fun and exciting to do. I personally think too, if you are that type of person, like I'm that type of person, and I know I am, you really have to like bring yourself down and just nearly like constrict yourself to what all you're actually promising to do or like apply to, just to save yourself long term, because this is such an amazing industry, but you can so very easily burn yourself out, and for something like this you don't want to do that. So light, be smart and be efficient, but
find the balance.
Exactly. All right, well, usual, let us know if you have any questions or topics that you might want us to discuss. Feel free to reach out to us over Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, email hello@useclub.com, and
tell us if you outreach to brands. We want to know.
Oh yes, please, and what kind of brands. So we'll see you on our next episode.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.